Sleeper Wire, the only fantasy football radio show with more than a dozen multi-time, multi-league, multi-year champions. Listen to the Sleeper Wire show every Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Dash Talk.
Welcome to the Sleeper Wire Show. Today is November 28th, 2017. I'm your host for the day, producer Steve, and with me is Professor Chris and Max. And it's do or die time for most leagues in Week 13 as the last chance to get into the playoffs if you're not already locked in. So today we're going to take an in-depth look at the Week 12 games for fantasy value and potential to win this week and get you loaded up for the championship drive. Let's get started. Okay, so today we're just going to jump right into the recaps. Max, does your dog want to be on the show?
I think he does. I really want him to stop barking, but it's kind of like all he's good at.
We'll bring him in for the Cleveland Browns segment for the dog pound part. But we're just going to jump into the recaps and just kind of stuff the news in where it fits. There's not a lot of important news that we need to cover right away. So let's go to the Thursday games, the Thanksgiving games. The Vikings beat the Lions 30-23. And the Lions, while they looked pretty good in the second half, they were losing 27-10 all the way into the third. And so it wasn't a good game for Detroit. It made a lot of mistakes. Matt Stafford looked inaccurate. Abdullah had a fumble. And, the injury to Stafford's leg really sealed the deal, I think, in this one. Finished with 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. Marvin Jones had the game. Golden Tate, not so much. Abdullah stinks this week. I'm not sure why he didn't get a lot of work. Only 14 carries. You guys any idea why Abdullah just didn't get used in this game?
Well, it was 14 yards on 6 carries.
Oh, even worse than what I thought. I read it backwards. 6 carries only.
Yeah.
What the hell?
They were down. Abdullah isn't really the primary pass-catching back. That's the only kind of logical thing I could think of. I know he did get some passing down work. He recorded 3 catches for almost 30 yards, 29 yards. So they were throwing the ball. They were airing it out.
Airing it out to Marvin Jones only, though. Any concern about Golden Tate coming through? Probably not, right?
Not for me.
No, Golden Tate's fine.
Golladay got a little involved, 2 catches for 61 yards. You guys think he's worth the stash maybe for the playoffs?
Nah.
Not involved in
Golladay, if you're a Marvin Jones owner and you lean heavily on Marvin Jones, Golladay will go in if Jones gets hurt. That's the only kind of thing. He's a handcuff for Jones, as weird as it sounds for handcuffs for receivers.
Okay.
Yeah, and you don't want to waste a spot on your bench for that. If you're handcuffing at this point in the season, which is a pretty good idea going into the playoffs, you want to do it for a running back, not for a wide receiver. Don't waste that bench spot.
Okay. So, would you consider Riddick maybe if he was around?
I'd consider Theo. In PPR, I consider Theo Riddick.
PPR? Okay.
Why? He hasn't really done anything this year.
Yeah, but neither is Abdullah. And
right. I don't want to play Abdullah either.
If Abdullah goes down because he does have a slight history of being injured, it wouldn't hurt to have Riddick.
We pretty much know what we get with the Lions. We've got the Vikings, however. I think we pretty much know what we have with the Vikings at this point. I think we know that Case Keenum is a week-to-week start. Is he not?
He's legit. He's legit.
Looked great this week.
Yeah, it's hard to call him a week-to-week start for me still because he will have those games where he gets single-digit points. But, at this point, I think you have to at least seriously consider him week-to-week.
Yeah, but Dak Prescott had a game with single-digit points, too. So, everyone can have them, but the lineup for the Minnesota Vikings is looking pretty nice going to the playoffs.
Oh, no, I agree. I love all the Vikings players. I'm just talking about playing Keenum.
No, that's so am I. I'm talking about their schedule. I said lineup. I should know. But they have a pass-heavy lineup coming up.
Yeah.
Or I keep saying lineup. I mean schedule coming up.
Right.
The only team that would concern me, the Bengals might a little bit, but Carolina would be the only team that would concern me. For most championship games going against Green Bay, if Aaron Rodgers is back, that's going to be great for you. And next week it's Atlanta. That's going to be great for you. Case Keenum is probably a second quarterback for you as it is. So if you're confident week 14 and 15 going with a different quarterback, that's fine. But for me, I'd probably just roll with them. because I'm not trusting Derek Carr, who's my backup right now.
Yeah, I'm not really that concerned about the Panthers, and I'll tell you why when we cover the Jets game, because they did not stop the pass this week, and I'm thinking you might not see any of those single-digit games from Keenum anymore. Rest of the team was good. Thielen, obviously, number one receiver. Diggs got involved. Rudolph, great game from him. You guys see anything that stood out to you on the Vikings side at all?
It's to the point where I would almost consider starting Murray over McKinnon, even though I do like McKinnon more.
That's because Murray's better. I'm just saying.
I knew you were gonna like to hear that, Max.
It's nice to when Chris especially finally somewhat almost agrees with me. Almost.
He didn't exactly say you were right, but it was close enough to make you smile. I get you.
Close enough, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Give him a little tickle.
All right, the Chargers destroyed the Cowboys 28-6. They just dominated this game. It was bad. I have a little note here. Near the end of the third quarter, the Chargers had outgained Dallas 397 yards to 116. This defense in Dallas looked bad. Phillip Rivers went wild. Keenan Allen, a second game for 172 yards and a touchdown, just killing it for you. Hunter Henry got involved. We expected that. The guys I want to ask you guys about are Tyrell Williams and Travis Benjamin. With this offense looking so explosive, facing the Browns, the Redskins, the Chiefs, and the Jets to close out the season, is this an offense you want to get a piece of, either with Benjamin or Williams? Possibly waiver grab real quick?
I'd rather have Williams than Benjamin.
I'd rather have Benjamin than Williams.
A predicament.
I just think I'm sorry. I just think that Rivers trusts Benjamin more. Benjamin's big play potential is so much greater because he's kind of like the Kenny Stills of the Chargers.
Yeah, Tyrell is a big play receiver, though.
He is, but he hasn't been doing it much this year. Travis Benjamin, since they've been kind of like these last two games, has been more involved. Since Phillip Rivers, even my dog agrees with me if you guys can hear that, since Phillip Rivers started throwing the ball, he's looking at Benjamin more than he's looking at Tyrell. That's what I notice. I like Benjamin better. I think his speed creates a better situation for a big play potential.
Yeah, they both had 3 targets, so workload was about the same. Tyrell Williams is also the one who got the touchdown.
Yeah, but I mean, you have Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry, Antonio Gates. Anyone can get a touchdown on that team. It's who breaks off the big play, which happened to be Tyrell this week, which is good for him. But
right, and Tyrell gets more long touchdowns than Benjamin does.
Benjamin has the potential for more long touchdowns.
Yeah, it's not about potential, it's about who's been doing it.
Keenan Allen's getting worked in, getting more targets, so I think it's going to open up more for Benjamin to go over top and do the work. Yeah. I want to check out last week's stats, too, real quick.
Well, to be fair, I wouldn't really be wanting to start either guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to start either guy. And you got to think, last week it was the same, too, 1-1.
Yeah, this would be more of like a stash in case one of them gets injured if you have a rock-solid lineup.
Right, yeah, that's what I was talking about. I wasn't saying start him. I was just saying,
if you have Keenan Allen.
Just buy
Tyrell Williams might be a thing.
Get a piece of an offense that's on the rise. That's all. And Eckler also only got 6 carries, only 6 rushes, but still involved in the passing game. 3 catches for 55 yards. That's another one of those guys. Like if he's available, I think you gotta grab him if you can. If you got the spot, you just want a piece of these kind of offensive. And if Phillip Rivers is on your waiver wire, go pick him up. And the Chargers defense guys with this upcoming schedule, you like them for a streamer or possibly just roll with them for 4 games?
I mean, you can against the Browns. I don't like the Chargers defense. I know they're doing really well, and I should like them. And this is probably just previous year's bias, but I just can't get behind them. But next week against the Browns, yeah, I could definitely see starting them.
Wow, I could see starting them all the way out, actually. I think if
the Redskins, I could too. I mean, the Redskins aren't going to be much of a challenge.
Yeah,
The Chiefs are nothing. I mean, it's a home game, but at the same time, they've been giving up a lot of points, and then they've got the Jets.
Like I said, I'm not going to fight you on it. It's
all right.
Previous year's bias. Just I don't like them personally.
All right. Talk about the Cowboys. That O-line, man, Tyron Smith back, but he didn't look 100%, and Zach Martin left the game in the first half with a concussion. That was it for them. The Chargers defense took advantage of that, and Dak Prescott with another horrible game. 2 interceptions, only 179 yards. Des Bryant suffered as well. Terrence Williams, somewhat involved. Jason Witten saw the most receptions with 7, but only 44 yards. Running back situation, Alfred Morris and Rod Smith. Rod Smith scored. Each got 9 carries, about the same yardage. McFadden was waived, So at least we've got a little clarity. But you guys feel good about starting anybody on this Cowboys team right now? I certainly don't. I'm not starting Dak Prescott again. I can't afford to have another game like this.
If you're a Zeke owner and you're rolling with Alfred Morris, it sucks, but he's probably still your best option.
Yeah, I'm not even sure that's true. I'm not sure it's not true either. I'm not trying to argue about these guys, but I wouldn't really want to start either one of them. I haven't started either one of them, even though I do have them. If I had to pick one, it would actually be Rod Smith. But going back to what Steve said about Dak, I think I can still justify playing him. The Redskins, I think they could be a good matchup. Tyron Smith will have another week to get healthy. Giants and Raiders, also not very scary.
Okay. I'm a little concerned just because of the divisional matchups, but I can see that.
They've been playing like absolute trash against non-divisional matchups, so maybe they'll turn it around.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's in a week where a couple of leagues I have to win and I have Dak. I'm really kind of looking at like guys like Dalton and McCown, and like I would maybe even Gabbert over him. I mean, he's scoring touchdowns at least, and Dak is not. So it's a little scary. Seahawks in Week 16 is when Elliott comes back. So I guess if you got him, hold on to him till then. Maybe he'll win you a championship, but we'll see. That O-line's got to get healthy. Any guys on the Cowboys you guys are looking at for waivers at all this week? No.
Witten, if you need a tight end, because he's the only one who's going to be even effective for you at all.
Redskins and Giants, 20-10. Redskins win. They're both coming off the short weeks with overtime games. This game was sloppier than the Thanksgiving dishes I had to wash. Just looked yucky. But Washington's season's still alive. They're 5-6. That O-line wasn't playing well, though. Trent Williams and the top two centers were out, and so we've seen when that O-line isn't there, this team struggles a lot. Kirk Cousins was sacked 6 times. And they were 4 of 14 on third downs. Guys, what did you see in this game on the Redskins side of the ball?
Josh Doxson is 100% touchdown dependent.
All right.
Yep.
And Jamison Crowder I think, should be a weekly flex, and Perrine is an auto start.
If healthy, Perrine's an auto start.
Well, yeah.
And Steve, if we can just flash back to last Wednesday, just think about it for a second, when Lucas made fun of me for saying Case Keenum was good.
Time for Max to toot his own horn.
And for saying to start Crowder, because in PPR, he's amazing. Guys, I agree with Chris. Flex him every week.
Yeah.
This is what you're looking for out of him.
Yeah, I mean, if this is a ceiling, it's fantastic. I'm going to take half of this for a floor. 70 yards and a touchdown would be a nice floor for him. I don't know what happened to Vernon Davis in this game. Do you guys have any clue why he didn't get any love?
Just didn't get it.
Damn.
It ruined me, though.
The Redskins play the Cowboys, Chargers, Cardinals, and Broncos down the road here. So, yeah, follow what these guys said. In terms of the Giants, Manning ate 4 sacks. Nobody was catching his passes. Evan Ingram had 3 drops. The only guys that saw any action were Tavares King and Roger Lewis. Not great. Sterling Shepard inactive again. He's got the migraines, which made me think of Percy Harvin. I hope this isn't like an ongoing thing. He did have a concussion in 2013, so I hope that he's past that, but if this becomes a chronic problem, Sterling Shepard owners in Dynasty might be a little concerned. Orleans Darkwa, 11 for 30. Gallman, 9 for 37. This was just a failure on all fronts for the Giants. Anything to take away from the Giants at all?
I still think Dark was startable.
I don't want any piece of that team at all.
All right.
Well, there you go.
I mean, I agree with you on that one. I think Dark was startable. I would start him against the Raiders and the Cowboys. The Eagles, not so much. Cards.
What about if you had to? What about
so
Darkwa or Alfred Morris going forward?
Ugh.
See, the bones are there for Alfred Morris to actually have a productive run game and like a decent offense. The Giants have been bad all season. So it's not even like on who I think the better running back is. I just think Alfred Morris still has the better situation.
Yeah, I'd go Morris over that just slightly. Would you go Dark or Chris?
I think I would.
It's close. It's really close. All right. That's the Giants. What are you going to do? Falcons beat the Buccaneers 34-20. The Falcons dominated this game. It was 27-6 up into the third quarter. And then they kind of stepped off the gas and they let the Buccaneers get back into it. Julio Jones! We're happy he got back on track. But can he keep doing it? Because this is what we want from Julio. This was a monster game.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of funny that after last week's very poor performance by the Falcons all around, really Julio as well, I sent out a tweet saying that maybe it's time that we stop considering Julio to be an elite fantasy wide receiver. And I was just trying to motivate him.
Nice. Well, you got the job done. Anything,
Good job, Chris.
Anything you
Good
saw
job.
in this
He
game,
heard
Max? Anything offensively you saw in this game that was beautiful or cool?
I think you just shouted it out.
All right.
That's it.
I mean,
he's amazing. Coleman looks great.
What was weird is Coleman didn't get any catches, and that's normally his thing.
But he didn't need to. Julio was crazy. You don't need Coleman to catch things when Julio's going crazy.
All right.
Right.
Okay.
Sanu threw a touchdown to him.
I know. Sanu's
51-yard touchdown.
Sanu's the new.
And honestly,
Ryan.
it was a dime. It was a raindrop. Boom. Perfect.
So if Matt Ryan misses time, slot Mohamed Sanu in a quarterback spot in 2 quarterback leagues. You'll be good to go. I'm a little concerned about the Falcons' defense. They had a couple injuries. Desmond Trufant and Brian Poole. If they're out and they play the Vikings, Saints, and Bucks and Saints again, people that were streaming the Falcons' defense should definitely be concerned, correct?
Yeah, I don't think you can stream them anymore.
That's it for them, yeah?
No.
All right. Ryan Fitzpatrick, no touchdowns, no interceptions, only 283 yards. Doug Martin with a concussion, only 33 yards on 7 carries. We've been kind of fading Doug Martin the past week, 2 weeks maybe. We think that it's pretty much time to stop starting him. Almost relegated to flex territory. Officially in flex or officially on your bench after this game?
Bench.
All
Well, especially with the concussion.
Well, yeah, but say he comes back this week.
Well, I still think I would play him next week against the Packers. But as far as Lions, Falcons, and Panthers go, I wouldn't want to play him in any of those matchups.
Another bad week for Brait. O.J. Howard had a couple catches. It was Mike Evans and Sean Jackson. So is Peyton Barber a waiver ad?
No, I don't think so. We actually were talking about doing the great debate over waiver wire guys this week before we decided that maybe it's time to stop focusing on the waiver wire because what can really happen between now and then. So we focused on better stashes. But Peyton Barber would have been one of the guys who was part of the debate.
Okay, so he could be a stash, but it's not somebody you're picking up to start. Max, anything from this game? Anything from the Bucs side?
They need Winston back.
Hopefully
in a bad way. The defense honestly didn't look terrible. It's really hard to contain Julio Jones. Maybe stream him against the Packers. I could see that happening, but Hundley's kind of looking like he's stepping into his own. Besides that, there's not much going on in that team besides Evans. I mean, Peyton Barber, I actually liked him getting the touchdowns, but you can't trust him either. It's not a pretty team.
I think you can actually be comfortable playing Deshaun Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, in a PPR.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is weird because he's never been a PPR guy.
Well, I mean, he's not always, but he's been primarily used as like a number 1, so now he's a number 2 behind Evans.
But yeah, 6 catches. He only had 2 catches week 11, but he also got the touchdown. 8 catches for 60 this week. Yeah. I would be totally okay flexing Deshaun Jackson.
I feel like he's kind of slotting himself into like what we kind of thought Mike Wallace would be when he left Pittsburgh. Kind of like the wide receiver 2 wherever he went, just with a lot of catches, and he's really, really fast.
Yeah.
As to where before Deshaun Jackson he's going deep. Good luck covering him. That's just kind of how he played. And
yeah,
now he's all over the place.
He's getting goal line targets.
Yeah, he's shifty. He's showing off his athleticism.
Right, but that's just something we've never really seen him do. I'm happy to see it.
All right, so Deshaun Jackson is a pretty safe flex start for the rest of the season.
I feel like it.
Okay. Especially with Winston back. You feel it'll be the same usage?
Yeah, I think so.
And I'm still waiting to see, because Chris, last week you said when Winston comes back, Brait will reemerge. So I'm hoping that happens, because Brait's been bad for 3 weeks. So keep an eye on him. Possible tight end filler in for the rest of the season if you need one. The Patriots and the Dolphins, 35-17. I thought that Kiko Alonso and Ndamukong Suh were trying to kill Tom Brady. They were hitting him late. They weren't getting called. To me, Max, this made me think of you, man. This looks like a team that's just lost its motivation. They're playing unfocused, and they're playing sloppy, and they're getting killed. Is that what you saw in the Dolphins game?
They're playing on tilt. They're just playing angry, and you can't play angry. And that's why you were seeing those late hits, because honestly, the only way they'd beat the Patriots is if they hurt Tom Brady. That's why you were seeing all those late hits. I don't know. I mean, you have to blame coaching. I don't even know if you can, because the team is talented. They do have a lot of good players. I know the loss of Tannehill's rough, Moore isn't that bad of a quarterback, and yeah, it's the Patriots who are a great team. I don't know. It looked like a team that was just angry, that just didn't want to be there. They were mad that they were on the Dolphins in general. It was a sad sight to watch.
Let me ask you about Devontae Parker, because he didn't really look. I mean, that's what I'm seeing from him. He just doesn't look like he's engaged in the game.
I don't think he cares. I think he knows he's the number 3 with Moore in, and he just doesn't give a crap, which is sad. But you see it kind of with all these prima donna receivers who show flashes of being great. If they don't get targeted, they freak out.
Are you dropping him, though? I mean, like, you could pick up somebody like a Tyrell Williams.
Nope.
Really?
The upside of Parker's better. It's rough, but if Cutler's back this week, Parker's a star for me.
I don't know, man.
If he goes down, Parker's a star for me.
It's 2 weeks in a row. It doesn't look like his head's in the game. I'm not excited about starting him.
I'm not saying start him. Don't rush out to get him if you don't have him. But like I said, if Cutler's back, because they have no problem benching Moore, if Cutler's back, he's a good start in my eyes.
Also on the Dolphins, we had Damian Williams go down with his shoulder injury in the third, so monitor that. We'll keep you involved in that. But Kenyon Drake would be the guy, obviously, to take on pretty much the full workload if he's out, facing the Broncos and then the Pats again, then the Bills and the Chiefs. Feel good about Drake in the next 4 weeks at all?
Oh, I certainly do. I also want to go back just a second and say Devontae Parker is not that good.
Sick.
I do not share Max's enthusiasm about Devontae Parker when it comes to the fantasy side of his play.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's the point. Like,
I'm not saying he's a number 1 for you. I'm saying he's a wide receiver 3 or flex when Cutler's in, which is startable.
And I'm saying I would not flex him.
You'd take Tyrell Williams over him at flex?
No, I'm assuming I would have better options than Devontae Parker.
Well, that was the option Steve gave me. And honestly, at this point in the season, the waiver wire is usually picked pretty thin, and if you have them on your bench, you're going to leave them on your bench because there's probably not going to be much more out there unless you're going to go for a Golladay or maybe Zay Jones and hope someone gets hurt, or possibly Tyler Boyd for the Bengals and just hope that Brandon LaFell gets hurt.
That's what I'm saying. For a stash on a guy who wants to play over a guy who's on a crappy a losing team who doesn't seem to care, I would rather have the guy that wants to play.
Yeah, but it's a stash on a crappy guy, or on a guy who wants to play who isn't playing, or a guy who is playing but the quarterback he wants isn't in. And the quarterback he wants isn't in only because of an injury. He should be back. Right. Like, it shouldn't be a long thing. So once Cutler's back, Parker's better for you than those guys in the waiver wire.
Okay. All right, well.
Unless Tyrod starts throwing to Jones, and then who knows.
Let's talk about the Patriots real quick. Burkhead, we thought would be in the doghouse. He had a game. Dion Lewis had a game. So is it safe to start either one of these running backs week to week? Because James White seems to have been relegated out. Obviously, Gillislee's gone. Who knows where? So it looks like 2 startable running backs in Patriots land, right?
I'd still play Lewis if I had to choose, but Burkhead is flexible, I believe.
I'd play Burkhead. I'd play both. I mean, given the option, I actually like Burkhead more than Lewis because I still think James White and Lewis are the same running back. But Burkhead's been put out at receiver. He gets the goal line work. He's the guy. He fumbled, and he got put back in. He's the guy.
In other news, Martellus Bennett to the IR. The Patriots defense played pretty well. And we had been talking all year that they were beatable, but they actually got a couple turnovers this game. Are they startable defense in the fantasy playoffs officially now? They face the Bills, the Dolphins again, than the Steelers and the Bills. So 3 out of those 4, I feel pretty good about starting them as a defense.
Yep, I would too.
Yep.
Nice. Panthers and the Jets. Panthers 35, Jets 27. The Jets, I think, could have and should have won this game, but they made some mistakes. They had some bad calls. And let's talk about Austin Seferian-Jenkins. He should have had 2 touchdowns. First one he dropped. The second one, did you guys see this catch?
I did, and I do agree that there was a slight bobble. His arms were still on the ball, but it was moving. He didn't have it secured. It wiggled a little bit.
All right.
I think that's one of the dumbest rules in the NFL. If that ball does not hit the ground and you put 2 feet in bounds, the ball is trapped within your arms, but shifting slightly, it's a catch. It should have been a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, given those 2 back, McCown would have had a huge day, but he did throw for 300 yards, over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Panthers defense, and most of that was to Robbie Anderson. 6 catches for almost 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. That, by the way, is the 5th consecutive game he's found the end zone. That guy, I think, is a must-start nowadays. You guys like Jermaine Kearse coming back in, 105 yards and a touchdown, waiver wire material if you got to?
Maybe in a PPR, if you like 14 teams or more, maybe.
Okay. Well, when you get the Chiefs, I wouldn't like them against the Broncos, Saints. I mean, the Chargers are actually looking decent. So for at least two of the upcoming games, I'd like them. I'd like actually most of the Jets, which is kind of weird to say.
Did you guys see McCown on that deep ball to Robbie Anderson, directing him and just saying "go, go, go" and pointing downfield?
Yep.
Perfect pass.
McCown is a viable quarterback. I think if, like, I'm a Dak Prescott owner, I would start McCown over Dak, I think, until he shows that he can do what he does again. I'm not scared of that.
Yeah, I mean, next week, or this upcoming week against the Chiefs, I don't see why not.
On the other side of the ball, Newton was, it was the same we've seen a lot of this season. Inaccurate, only threw for 168 yards. He missed Olsen in the end zone before he had to leave the game with the sore foot, which is now day-to-day for Greg Olsen, so we'll keep an eye on that. But he was targeted in the end zone, so that was good. McCaffrey was obviously the better running back. 7 rushes for 62, 2 catches for 35. Jonathan Stewart, though, still vulturing the touchdown, but only 26 yards on 7 rushes. So why won't they just let McCaffrey be the guy?
Because Stewart's better on the goal line.
Yeah. Nah.
Is that it?
I don't know.
That was one of the reasons why his yards per carry was so low, why he only had 7 for 26, is because one of them was a 1-yard touchdown, another one he got stuffed on a touchdown.
Yeah, but is he really better on the goal line? Because if that was the case, Cam Newton wouldn't have so many rushes. Tolbert, when he was there, wouldn't have so many rushes. So they get rid of Tolbert, and all of a sudden Stewart's this amazing goal line back.
I didn't say he was amazing. I said he was better than McCaffrey.
I think McCaffrey is probably the best athlete in that team next to Cam Newton or Luke Kuechly.
Right, I'm talking about running back on the goal line.
And I'm talking about Jonathan McCaffrey being the best athlete in that team. He can do it all. He will score for them. He will be their goal line back. I feel like this is just loyalty to Stewart.
Yeah, all right. I do agree. He is a better athlete. I'm just saying on the goal line, I think Jonathan Stewart is stronger and can punch it through better. But maybe a little bit more effectively. McCaffrey out of the, maybe some toss plays or something like that. But running through the middle, I think that's Stewart.
But nobody's starting Jonathan Stewart, right? We're not saying start Jonathan Stewart.
Right.
Okay. No, do not start Jonathan Stewart.
Worth maybe a waiver ad. He's one of the stash guys. If McCaffrey goes down, maybe. But what I didn't like here was the defense. Carolina defense, they did score 2 touchdowns. Special teams and defense scored 2 touchdowns. But like I said before, they gave up 300-plus yards through the air and 3 touchdowns. They faced the Saints, the Vikings, the Packers, and the Bucs. I'm not excited about that defense against the Saints at New Orleans.
Or against the Vikings.
No. So do I have better options on the waiver wire? That's the question.
I would not drop them because I would still play them against the Packers and the Bucs, but I wouldn't want to play in the next 2 games.
So is this a situation where you maybe drop one of your scrubs on the bench for a second defense and just play the matchups kind of thing?
Yeah, I think at this point it's okay to roster 2 defenses if you're stashing one for a playoff matchup.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, cool. Let's go on to the Bengals and the Browns. The Bengals beat the Browns 30-16. Joe Mixon finally had a game, 114 yards and a touchdown, 23 carries. Good workload, 3 catches for 51 yards. So let's figure this out. Do we credit the Bengals offensive line? Do we blame it on the Cleveland run defense, which has been kind of losing a little bit of steam? Or it was just Joe Mixon showing us his raw talent? Which of the 3 was it?
Chris, you're the Joe Mixon guy, not me. I hate him, so...
I think they just finally realized how good he is and wanted to give him the work, which is about damn time. Now, granted, it was the Browns, but the Browns have a decent run defense. Mixon looked great. It's about time.
What do you think, Max?
Yeah, it took long enough. I mean, if you're the starting running back for 12 weeks, you're eventually going to hit pay dirt. And, I wouldn't... He's a flex.
That's what I was going to say.
He hasn't been the starting running back all 12 weeks.
He's been essentially the starting running back all 12 weeks. He's a flex. You got to think, for him to get the actual starting job, he had to wait till a running back that everyone, for some reason, thinks is terrible and Hill has to get hurt. He was super unproductive with all the work he's gotten, and he finally had a good game. Andy Dalton had a good game. So let's talk about it's the Browns. he's a flex.
That's what I'm saying, because I feel like this is a blind squirrel finds a nut every so often kind of thing, because I actually benched him this week. I wasn't excited about Mixon. I benched some points, but I'm okay with it. And I'm okay with benching him the next couple of weeks. Actually, probably not excited to start him the rest of the season. I think the Steelers, Bears, Vikes, and Lions, it's all tough defenses.
Bears and Lions are the only two I'd even consider, because the Steelers, even though they didn't look that great last night, they'll be fine. Vikings has stout defense. The only, if you ask me between Mixon or Pirine, I'd say Pirine. And I feel like they're on pretty similar teams.
Yeah, I'd say Pirine as well.
I just don't think Mixon, I don't get the hype. I feel like he is, I think Tevin Coleman's better, but I think he's like a Tevin Coleman, a really good spellback.
No, the hype is his talent. It's just the situation.
Yeah, but I personally don't. The situation's bad for him. Maybe if he was on Dallas, the talent would show. But I don't see the talent. I don't see it yet. I understand it's there. I understand what he did in college is great. But I mean, a lot of running backs did a lot of great things in college and looked very mediocre in the NFL.
I do agree that I would play Pirine over him, though.
If I had to grab one of these wide receivers from the Bengals off the waiver wire as a stash, I got LaFell, I got Tyler Boyd, and let's say between those two, which one would you grab? LaFell?
Yeah, he's the number 2 right now. I mean, if LaFell gets hurt, Boyd's up.
Okay, so in that order. And Croft got you a touchdown this week. Saved us. Well, I mean, he's part of the touchdown-dependent Bengals, so of course, you got a touchdown. You got you some points in fantasy. Otherwise,
but on the Bengals, besides A.J. Green, he's the most likely to score a receiving touchdown. So keep that in mind.
Only 14 yards. I mean, no touchdown. That's a garbage game.
He's a red zone guy, but that's what he is. He's like the Antonio Gates of last year.
That's a hard
Nothing
start.
In the middle of the field, but in the end zone, that's where they're going to look.
That's a hard start week to week, though. I'd rather have a guy with a safer floor than that. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
I get it.
All right, on the Browns, DeShone Kizer did some decent stuff, 268 yards, a rushing touchdown, 39 yards rushing. The Browns actually got 405 yards total offense, which is pretty impressive, so that makes the defense of Cincinnati look a little weak. Big story, Josh Gordon coming back this week, right? Are we excited? What do we expect? First week back from Josh Gordon.
200 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, the way Max has talked about him for the last 2 years, that's what you're expecting from Josh Gordon.
If I could give my realistic prediction, I would say 5 for 80 a touchdown.
5 for what?
All
now?
right,
5 for 80 and a touchdown.
5 for 80 and a touchdown.
That's reasonable. Yep. That's reasonable. I think you're still starting Corey Coleman. I think he's earned himself a flex spot for sure in PPR.
I would say it's more like 2 for 17.
Corey Coleman is actually as the number 2. Will probably have a great game. It's the Chargers. Their secondaries look decent, even though I don't really like them. Their secondaries look decent. I think against the Packers, Gordon will really flash. Hence his name, Flash Gordon, or his Twitter handle. But I love Josh Gordon. I think that's been duly noted several times on this show. And I start him every week. Flex him.
All right, what about flexing Isaiah Crowell? He's put together a couple of decent games in the past.
Isaiah Crowell's earned your starts. He's a flex. Start.
All right, cool.
Agreed.
All right, Titans and Colts, 20-16. The Titans won. This was a historic game. This was Tennessee's first victory in Indianapolis since 2007. I think they were lucky to win this game, though. Chris, walk me through this game because you're the Colts fan.
Man, this is so disappointing. This was I believe, the 6th time this season where the Colts have had the lead in the fourth quarter and lost the game, which completely sucks. I thought they were definitely going to win this when they were looking pretty good for most of the game, and then they just... Fourth quarter comes around, it's time for the Titans to get the lead, and then the Colts to not do anything. It's been really frustrating to be a Colts fan. I mean, you take away just those close games, them losing it in the fourth, they could be in contention for the division right now.
Would they do much in the division, like in the playoffs?
No, and they would lose in the first round of the playoffs. Absolutely, but
I think the Colts got very lucky and made a very smart move for trading for Brissett, and this is a team that isn't good. They're relying on great play from a few great players. They kind of need to go full rebuild, which I feel like they're not. I feel like they drafted Andrew Luck, and they're just trying to hodgepodge and piece a team together around a quarterback who's constantly hurt. And I know it's blasphemy to say, Chris, and I'm sorry. Dump Andrew Luck, get rid of that huge contract, keep Brissett, rebuild your team. Use the money from Andrew Luck's massive contract that you're paying for nothing because he's not playing, and rebuild your team. because every aspect besides quarterback right now isn't looking good.
Yeah, they gave up 8 sacks this week. Ryan Kelly was in concussion. That hurt that O-line, but that was not good. And T.Y. Hilton had a bad game. Jack Doyle's the only guy, and Frank Gore, I guess. They're the only 2 guys I'd start on the Colts at this point of the year. And I'm not feeling great about them week to week, especially with their road schedule coming up against the Jags and the Bills. But let me talk real quick about Titans. We expected more from Corey Davis this week. We expected with Matthews out that he would get a little bit more work, but it looks like his floor, his average is going to be about 4 receptions, maybe 40 to 50 yards tops. So I don't know if Corey Davis is up. I mean, the upside was there. I don't know if you can feel good about even putting him in a flex position at all this coming up down the road here. Do you guys agree with that?
I agree that you can't feel good about it. I played Corey Davis over Marvin Jones this week because of the matchup.
Oh. Yikes.
Yeah. I'm still going to win, but it was not a good decision.
It's a little more stressful, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I'm not happy about Mariota either. He wasn't rushing at all this week, and he only threw 25 passes. I'm just a little bit down on this whole offense, and I'm really down on Murray. He didn't look good again. It's 2 weeks in a row now. He got the touchdown, but without that, he was all Derrick Henry. I think he should be the main guy. They just got to switch it over to him and just let him do.
I think they'll do that after the season.
yeah.
Great.
I mean,
great.
it's rough for fantasy players, but for actual fans of the Titans, it's probably the best thing they can do for Henry's future. Give him less work while he's young. He's clearly developing into an amazing running back. And you still have DeMarco Murray, and DeMarco's still good.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he's still goal line work. He's good. He can still catch. He can block well for you. You have the future in Derrick Henry. DeMarco for a backup running back or for your spell guy, which is kind of what he's turning into right now, isn't a bad thing to have. The issue is your spell guy is DeMarco Murray.
But this is a fantasy show, and people are thinking about going to the playoffs with DeMarco Murray. Are they starting him in the playoffs? I'm really not excited about that.
I don't know if maybe against the 49ers.
All right. So he's matchup dependent now. He's a matchup dependent start, and Henry.
I think so.
Same with Henry,
Yeah, I agree
or
with that.
would you start putting Henry in a little bit over DeMarco Murray?
Nope.
Okay.
I'd still play Murray over Henry every week.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Okay. Good to know, because I have both in one league, and they're driving me crazy this year. Eagles and the Bears. In the animal kingdom, things may have been different. But in the NFL, the eagle killed the bear. The Eagles' defense was phenomenal. Didn't allow a first down in the first half. Wentz went wild. It hurts to go against Ertz. First catcher in the Eagles' season to have a 100-yard game. 10 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. And you got Alshon Jeffrey scored. Aguilar scored. Blunt had 97 yards. And Ajayi had 26 yards, but the fumble in the end zone, which was recovered by Aguilar. Do you guys know if Nelson Aguilar gets a touchdown point for that in fantasy?
Oh, he did.
He
did.
So you got 2 touchdowns this week. Awesome.
Yeah, that's a rushing touchdown.
Excellent. Good for you, buddy. Good for you. Is there anything we need to say about the Eagles? If you get a piece of this team, get a piece of them. The only guy you could probably get a piece of is Clement, I think, and maybe Torrey Smith.
I'd get Clement, honestly.
Yeah. That's
And
about
stash him. The Eagles are just so good.
Yeah. You start all your Eagles. You have to.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean,
Eagles.
against the Seahawks, I'd be a little hesitant. The Rams, they really beat up on bad teams, but not great teams. The Eagles are a great team right now. And then you have the Giants, Raiders.
Yeah.
Start your Eagles.
Start them. Chicago, though. I'm concerned about Jordan Howard. Horrible game. 7 carries, 6 yards, 2 receptions for 13 yards. What happened here?
He was only given 7 carries. That was it. They got beat up by a team that has really good run-stopping ability, and they got their faces kicked in.
Is there anything?
Yeah, don't worry about him. 49ers at home next week.
Yeah, Trubisky shouldn't throw the ball 33 times.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is there anything of salvageable fantasy value in the Chicago Bears outside of Jordan Howard this year for the rest of the season? Probably not, right?
No.
Okay. So that's that. But I think you could start your defenses against them if you're running the Bengals, the Lions in the fantasy playoffs. You'd probably be pretty good against the Bears. The Bills beat the Chiefs. Now I know we're going to get into this game because there were a lot of bad performances here. But the Bills 16, Chiefs 10. Alex Smith, I don't know. I've been reading stuff. They were saying he's fully regressed or maybe he degressed. I'm going to have to ask our old English expert, Dirty Jobs, on which word to use. But I'm kind of considering bailing on this team, guys. Alex Smith looks bad. inaccurate, can't make decisions. Max, I know you're going to tell me it's the coaching, but I think it might be the quarterback because it's affecting everybody.
I think it's both. I think it's bad play calling, bad game scripting. Alex Smith hasn't looked sharp, but he's also throwing more than he should be. They're not leaning on the run at all. They're abandoning the run extremely quickly, which is really disheartening. I'm not sure the exact number, but I think Kareem Hunt had like 6 carries in the first half.
Yeah, 11. Oh, in the first half? Yeah, I think it was around 6. 11 total.
So yeah, they're abandoning the run completely because Andy Reid, the team scores them, he just freaks out. He's like, throw it.
It's more of a chicken or egg situation for me because you're saying coaching and they're abandoning the run. I'm saying the quarterback is playing horribly and that's causing the run game to be stopped.
Alex Smith isn't playing well. He's not. But at the same time, you're abandoning the run too fast. Getting 11 carries when it's a 6-point game is ridiculous. Your running back, they should be doing what the Bills do. The Bills play through LaShawn McCoy. LaShawn McCoy is that team. And they play off the play actions. They play off bootlegs off of him. And that's what the Chiefs are doing at the beginning of the season when Alex Smith was breaking off huge runs and being shifty. Alex Smith isn't a great quarterback. But he's a game manager. And he can't manage a game when he has to be the guy. He had Jamal Charles for a long time. But he's used to having these great running backs, and Hunt, I believe, is one. And they're losing the identity of the team. They need to go back to the run. They need to get the run established. And getting the run established gives Alex Smith time to get set for this play actions where he has a little more time to get the ball down the field. His receivers have more time to be open. Threading the needle really isn't Smith's forte.
Okay, so that being said, Chris, I want to ask you about these guys real quick. I mean, you're starting Travis Kelce no matter what, but are you considering benching Hunt? Are you considering benching or flexing Hill in the next couple weeks?
No and no. Starting both.
Okay. I don't have your confidence. Until I see this team get back on track, I'm really concerned about starting both those guys because I believe that this team is failing, flailing, and just playing really bad. And I think a Jets at home could give them a real challenge next week. I think they'll have a different time against the Raiders, but the Chargers could also give them trouble. It's a dice roll for me. Tyrod Taylor, kind of what you said, Max. I feel like Tyrod Taylor might be Alex Smith good, like a good Alex. Like he looks like Alex Smith when he was playing well, right? He's shooting those short shots. He's got a couple of deep balls, but for the most part, he's a game manager. What do you see with the Bills this week? How'd you like them?
I thought they were great. They played the game they should play. This is kind of how they should be running. I would like to see Tyrod looking a little more accurate with his passes, but this is kind of what you expect. It's sad that Benjamin went down. McCoy, the yardage wasn't great in the ground, but it'll be fine. Still love McCoy, still a weekly start. But if you look at Tyrod Taylor, Alex Smith, Dak Prescott, quarterbacks that need established run games, luckily for Tyrod, they have one.
Yeah, the left tackle Cody Glenn was out, so when he comes back, hopefully that O-line improves for LaShawn McCoy. Chris, any ideas on anything with Benjamin? Have we heard anything on the knee injury?
Aside from the fact that it's a torn meniscus, I don't think we have any news of this point, but we certainly will on Wednesday.
All right, but I mean, probably going to miss time. Zay Jones is the obvious waiver guy if he's out there still.
Right, yeah, and I think if the meniscus is not like crazy torn, you can still play through it. It's going to be sore, like really sore, and it's going to hurt. Yeah. But you can still play through it. But even then, if that's something Benjamin is trying to play through, you're not going to want to start him. He can go out any single play.
Right. Charles Clay, I think, has proven that he's a must-start in PPR format. Standard, a little touchdown dependent, but decent floor in terms of tight ends, I think. All right, Seahawks 24, 49ers 13. Max, I think you probably watched this game because you're a Seahawks guy. Can you please explain to me some of these names I'm seeing on the box score? Tanner McVoy,
Dude, I have no
Nick
idea.
Vannett. Who are these guys on the Seahawks? I've never heard of them.
Bits and pieces of depth chart that are getting thrown on the field, and they're doing things.
Yeah.
So I'm happy.
Yeah,
I wish we'd get a new kicker.
Well, but for fantasy, Doug Baldwin took a hit. I mean, this was rough for Doug Baldwin.
Yeah. He made a beautiful catch, though.
I don't get style points in my league. I don't know about you, but
I mean, I think that should be implemented in everyone's league. The cooler the catch, the more points you get. Eddie Lacy's clearly their lead back now. Russell Wilson looked good, and he's an every week start. Richardson, he's actually been doing well most of the season, so he's a start. McAvoy, if I'm saying that right, I would never look at him again. Vannett, I wouldn't look at him again. Down week for Doug Baldwin, but expect him to bounce back. McKissick, he's their receiving
we were
halfback.
high on him.
So
We were really high on him this week.
Yeah, he's their Theo Riddick.
Yeah.
What?
We were really high on him this week during the mail sack, but he just didn't.
I wasn't. I said Eddie Lacy would start.
Okay.
Lucas loved him, and Lucas loved him for PPR. And if you had him in for PPR, he did all right for you. He was a good flex.
Yes.
So it wasn't a bad call. I don't think he had the explosive game that Lucas was necessarily hoping for. But, if you're flexing him out in a PPR league, full-point PPR, just in receptions, he had 6.5 points, and then he got a couple of runs in for 22 yards. So that's 8 points right there. It's not a bad week. If he gets in the end zone, you're all set.
3 tough defenses coming up for the Seahawks, with the Eagles, the Jags, and the Rams. You guys concerned about any of these role players here? Baldwin and obviously Lacy. But
the only one I'm not concerned about is Jimmy Graham.
Okay.
He'll get his work.
I'm not concerned about Baldwin either.
All right, cool. Beathard went out with that injury. We saw a little bit of Jimmy Garoppolo. If he starts and anybody on the wide receivers or tight ends for the 49ers that you guys might consider as a stash or a waiver if Garoppolo's starting?
Goodwin.
Yeah. It's about the only value on that team right now, I think, right? Outside of Hyde?
Yeah.
Okay.
I still think Kittle.
Yeah, he had a quiet game this week, but if he gets a new quarterback in there, you think that might lean on him a little bit more?
Yeah, I think he's worth owning.
Okay.
Well, I feel like Kittle is kind of like Croft, where they're more touchdown dependent. But if Garoppolo's in, I think, that should really help him out.
All right. Nobody's rushing out to pick up Garoppolo as a quarterback, though, right? I mean, we haven't seen what he does with this team, and this team's not very good, so hold off on that. I know he's good-looking, guys, but you don't get points for good looks or style either. But I think you're right, Max. I think next year in one of my leagues, I'm going to implement a new point system where you get points for touchdown celebrations.
Yeah, if you get the Steelers, you're all set.
Did you see? I forget who caught the touchdown, but he was pretending to give the ball CPR.
Oh, that
right?
was...
So he put the ball on the ground and was pounding on it and then listened to the chest of the ball. And
that was Delaney Walker.
Yeah. Right, yeah, it was Walker. He was giving the ball CPR, and the announcer was like, well, Delaney Walker looks like he's trying to burp a baby out there. And I was like, who puts a baby on their back and with 2 hands crams him into its chest to get it to burp?
I will say, I think my favorite celebration this week, though, was Robbie Anderson's. Runs the end zone, drops the ball, goes to sleep.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Nice.
That was a good one, too.
My favorite was the Eagles when they came out on the field and did the electric slide. That was pretty amazing. That was like a team. That was like the whole team almost did it.
Seriously, after this season, there's going to be a bunch of compilation videos about best touchdown celebrations from this year.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm so glad the NFL got rid of that stupid no celebration penalty.
Yeah.
It's probably the best thing Roger Goodell's done in the last 5 years.
Yeah, it's made touchdowns so much more.
Let's talk about a guy who scored a touchdown this week in the Cardinals-Jaguars game. A close game, but the Cardinals won with a beautiful 57-yard kick at the end of the game. Last week, Professor Chris, you called Ricky Seals-Jones Mercedes Lewis. 446, 72 yards and a touchdown. Another good week. Is he still Mercedes Lewis, or is he somebody that you might actually start?
Nope, I stand by it.
This was the first thing I thought of when I saw his touchdown. And I was like, damn, me and Chris were not about him last week.
I'm still not.
All right.
I'm still not buying it, but at the same time, speculative ad, if you have room.
Yeah.
If he does it again this week, definitely get him. Looks like it's going to be an every week target.
But we like to be ahead of the curve, so speculative ad if you have room this week before he does it again or doesn't do it again next week. On the Jags side, Westbrook had a pretty good game. Keaton Cole got a couple of passes. Marquise Lee completely shut down by Patrick Peterson. Anything you guys saw in terms of value going forward on the Jaguars?
Sorry.
Yeah, I would still take Lee over Westbrook.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, I would too, but it's just speculative ad again. Playoffs, you might want to, try to get lucky with someone. They still got Blake Bortles throwing the ball, so...
Yeah, he's a stash, and at home against the Texans in Week 15 and 49ers in Week 16 are going to be good games.
Bortles running the ball, too. 62 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Fournette, only 12 carries for 25 yards. Concerned about this, or just keep rolling out Fournette? Because he's starting to get into that kind of like, I'm not quite sure I want to put him as my RB1
the rookie wall?
I don't know about that. Just concerning.
I think you still got to play him.
He's kind of like Kareem Hunt as to where the talent's there. He's done it. I would still roll him out. I'd be more comfortable rolling him out than Hunt at this point.
That's what I was getting ready to ask. I made that same comparison in my head, went straight to Kareem Hunt, and I think I would play Fournette over Hunt as well.
Because they're still giving Fournette the work. He just kind of got bottled this week, which it's bound to happen. So
yeah. I think I would still take him.
I'm glad you said that because it's very likely somebody could have both of them on their team. Just happen to grab somebody and they've got a good starting running back and they're looking for their second one. Let's see. The Rams beat the Saints 26-20. The Rams just won this game as a team. They played well on offense and on defense. Saints secondary was missing some guys, so you had Watkins get his touchdown, 82 yards. What do you think of the Watkins and Kupp performances? Also, Josh Reynolds got involved with Woods out. Do you see this continuing for the Rams, this kind of wide receiver production split up this way?
Yeah, I think it's going to be mostly shared between Watkins and Kupp.
Okay.
I think this is kind of what we called last week, too, with Kupp getting the majority of the targets.
Yeah,
and Watkins being fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, did we make a bet on this?
I don't know.
I don't remember. I don't think so.
Maybe that was Nick and I on the Dash show.
I know I bet Lucas about Case Keenum versus some other quarterback that I can't recall.
It was Keenum versus Dalton. I think you won that one by a couple points this week. But you mentioned Pharaoh Cooper last week. It was Josh Reynolds that got more of the work. So is he worth the waiver ad? Because this is another one of those explosive offenses that you want a piece of, and he's the guy that would be available if he's available.
Nope, not for me.
Do we know how long Woods is out for?
I think it was like 2 to 4 weeks. So
if you are like me in a few leagues where you have Parker, who's not doing well, maybe you have Crabtree as well, who's going to be suspended, and you're desperate, I'd grab Josh Reynolds and just hope for another week like this. He's definitely a fringe player for you. He's kind of like a Zay Jones, where you're just kind of hoping it works out. You saw it do it this week. Hopefully it comes again next week.
I don't know. I'm not going to play the third string guy against at home, or no, not home, away in Arizona against the Eagles, at Seahawks, or at Titans.
I mean, that's probably the guy who's going to be open if they're playing anyone.
He's going to be open. It's such a crutch argument. You can make that about any guy, any third string wide receiver that's on that team. Well, he's going to be open when he's in the game. He does not need to be picked up in any leagues.
I'd be comfortable with him as a flex option. Like I said, if you have Crabtree and Parker, and you're not confident in Parker, and Crabtree suspended, and you got nothing on your bench, it's like, I'd take the shot. The Rams are almost as explosive as the Eagles in the way where it's kind of like, I just want a piece.
That's what I'm saying. So Cooper Kupp is must-start, PPR for sure the rest of the season, right? Watkins, is he more of a matchup guy, or is he a must-start while Woods is out, even against these tough defenses they have coming up?
I would, as long as Woods is out, I'm playing Watkins.
On the Saints side of the ball, there's not much we got to talk about. Alvin Kamara is ridiculous. 9 touchdowns and over 1,000 yards to his first 11 games. This guy is probably rookie of the year, I think. Ingram didn't have a great game. But Ted Ginn Jr. saved you in PPR. Pretty good game. Other than that, I mean, it was just a weird game for the Saints. Drew Brees couldn't really get it going. I don't think you have any concern about their skill player. It's another one of those teams that you want a piece of that are, on the uptrend. This was a tough loss for them. But I think Brees probably bounces back next week against Panthers, seeing as they just gave up a ton of yards to the Jets. You guys feel good about everybody next week and down the road for the Saints?
Yeah. Panthers, Falcons, Jets, Falcons. I'll take that.
Sweet. Raiders and Broncos. We got a sound effect for this one.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Boy, oh boy, what a match. 21-14. So you saw Crabtree get ejected. That hurt a lot of people's fantasy days. You saw Aqib Talib got ejected as well. So that opened up things for Derek Carr. Had an okay day. Jarrett Cook, incomplete pass in the end zone, only 1 for 1. We were high on him this week as a tight end streamer. But this was really a Marshawn Lynch game. 67 yards on the ground, 44 yards in the passing game, and a touchdown. So there were a lot of other wide receivers involved in this game, guys. If Crabtree misses time due to a suspension and Amari Cooper, who got banged up in a very scary hit, if he misses time due to injury, which we're hearing is concussion, and I think somebody said ankle issue?
Sprained ankle, yep.
Sprained ankle issue. Any of these wide receivers you might pick up and consider flexing, seeing as they face the Giants next week and the Chiefs the following week?
Seth Roberts.
That's
okay.
it. Good with that? All right, Seth Roberts is the only guy. I mean, what is there to say about the Raiders? It's a tough team to start anybody on. Derek Carr might be worth a streamer start the next couple of weeks. He's got Giants, Chiefs, and Cowboys. If his weapons come back. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, there's just not, if those two main wide receivers miss time, it's going to be hard to trust Carr. Cook might be the only guy. And Lynch. Lynch looks like he's coming on kind of towards the end of the season here. I feel a little bit better about flexing him week to week.
It's just disheartening. I had high hopes for the Raiders this year. I had high hopes for Derek Carr, and they took a bad turn.
Yeah, it did. It started with the injury to Derek Carr, and then it just never righted itself.
Yeah.
All right. So on the Broncos side, just not much to talk about. And
not much to talk about?
Max, you wanted to talk about Paxton Lynch. I mean, in terms of fantasy value, not much to talk about. But Max, you want to talk about
This is great. Fantasy
NFL.
value is great news if you guys are Demaryius Thomas or Emmanuel Sanders owners going forward.
Okay.
Trevor Siemian's back to being quarterback, and he's much better than anything the Broncos have rolled out the last few weeks. And their offensive coordinator, Musgrove, before the game said he wanted Trevor Siemian to start, not Paxton Lynch. And their head coach made the call.
Yeah, I think it's good news for Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. Cody Latimer, I know he's in the show notes. He got a touchdown. He's super irrelevant.
Okay.
I feel really bad for Paxton Lynch, though, as much shit as I talk about him. He was crying on the sideline because he knows his chances of being starter are done for at least this season. And I feel for you, man. That must really suck when the actual starter gets back on the field.
They face the Dolphins, the Jets, the Colts, and the Redskins. I see the Dolphins and the Colts. I'm kind of maybe thinking Simeon in a two-quarterback league as a streamer those weeks. You guys feeling good about that against those defenses?
Nah, I'm not feeling good enough to stream him.
Okay.
I feel fine with it.
All right. I'll have to look at it down the road and see what I got.
Oh, I feel fine with it in a 2 QB league, sorry.
Yeah, not single quarterback.
Oh, two-quarterback league, yeah. He's an okay option.
Finally, the Sunday night game, the Steelers 31, Packers 28. This was a really fun game to watch. The Steelers went up early. Roethlisberger went wild, 350 yards and 4 touchdowns, 2 ints. Martavius Bryant got involved with Juju out. So we got to look and see what the status is with Juju's injury, if he's coming back. Otherwise, I think Martavius Bryant makes a pretty good start in a flex against the Bengals next week if Smith-Schuster misses time.
If Juju's out in a PPR, I'd start Martavius Bryant.
Yeah, but I wouldn't expect a big game for him. Away against a division rival, I don't think that's going to be great.
Okay. All right. Le'Veon Bell covered his butt with no touchdowns, but he got, I don't know, I can't even do the math. He got a lot of yards on the ground and in the receptions, 12 receptions.
I can't even do the math.
I mean, this dude, he is like, his floor is other people's ceilings. It's just beautiful. You gotta love you starting him. Watch the Ryan Shazier injury notice because he did get hurt in this game, and he is a very important part of that Steelers defense, which we have been recommending for rest of season here. So just pay attention to that one. On the Green Bay side, though, Brett Hundley, he's getting better. He keeps looking better. He's looking quicker and more accurate, and for him to be able to keep up with this Steelers offense was really impressive to me. He threw 3 touchdowns for 245 yards. Devontae Adams was the guy. We told you last week he's his main guy. He's his target. 82 yards on 5 receptions and a touchdown. Next week, the Bucs, the Browns, the Panthers, and the Vikings. You guys feel good about this offense again? With Hundley finally looking good? Like, are you good starting these guys again?
For everyone besides Jordy Nelson, yeah.
Yeah?
Adams and Williams, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Randall Cobb's going to be what Randall Cobb's always been, I feel like, or has been for the last, 2 years.
Has Jamal Williams, is this his stamp game? Like, is he officially, even if Montgomery comes back, or now they don't have to rush him back? I mean, Jamal Williams is a must
If Montgomery comes back, Williams takes a hit.
But how big of a hit?
They will go back to a full committee with Montgomery getting more snaps.
How big of a hit, though? Like, from RB2 to flex?
I believe 60-40.
All right, so more of a flex now than an RB2?
Yeah. The big play potential's there, the receiving thing's there, but he's going to be the guy they go to for running, which is great, but they're still not a good team.
Okay.
Not yet. They looked better. The Steelers had a major injury on their defense. Hundley looked better. I still think when Ty's in there, Ty's going to get more snaps than Williams, like a 60-40 split.
Hundley's an interesting one. If I'm struggling and I'm starting Alex Smith, would I start Brett Hundley over Alex Smith?
No, not a chance.
How about over Dak Prescott?
How about Trevor Siemian?
Hundley over Simeon?
Oh.
No. I'd go Simeon. I'm saying, like, if you have Alex Smith or Dak Prescott and you're looking for a quarterback because you're not confident, I would go for Trevor Simeon over Hundley.
I'd start both those guys over both. As in Dak and Alex Smith. I'd still play those two.
Okay.
Yeah, well, yeah.
All right. Interesting. I've got a lot of the quarterback decisions to make with my Dak teams. Unfortunately, that'll have to wait for Wednesday. Well, you guys always help. You guys are the best. But I'm going to call the mail sack on Wednesday. Which, by the way, guys, don't forget, we do the live show on Wednesday nights, 7:30. Answer all your questions, your start, sit stuff for the week. Live on Mixler, so tune in at 7:30 on Wednesday. And if you need more, hey, we'll be back on Wednesday night. We got a show coming out Friday. Great debates this week is between Professor Chris. Who is it?
It is James Conner and Travaris Cadet.
All right, we're talking about stashes, not exactly waiver guys, right?
Absolutely. It's a stash week.
All right, and that's pretty much the point of the season where we are. So you know who you're starting, you know who you're not. There's maybe a couple of questions, but we'll get to those on the Wednesday mail sack. Otherwise, head over to SleeperWire.com for all our rankings, podcasts, and submit questions through the site. And please support our cause, man. If we have helped you at all this season, we need your help beating this chronic Lyme disease that our friend Rob has. Just make a donation. Anything you can put in there will help us, especially up around Christmas season. I know everybody's trying to do good things. Hey, get those donations in. It's a charity now, so you can write it off on your taxes next April. Make a donation. We'll appreciate it. Rob will appreciate it. You can find the GoFundMe page on our website, SleeperWire.com. Just look for our cause. And, of course, the 12 champions of SleeperWire are online all the time and happy to help you. Just join the SleeperWire channel on the SleeperBot app and find us also on the Fantasy Life app at Professor Chris, at MaxSW, and at SW Steve, or at SleeperWire, and also on Twitter at SleeperWire Show. That's it for the week. Professor Chris and Max, thanks for being on the show, and everybody have a great week 13. Good luck.
Peace.
Ooh, a double piece. A double piece. Somebody owes somebody a Coke.
Champions from the Sleeper Wire Fantasy Football Show will help you win your fantasy football championship. Sleeper Wire, Friday 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Sleeper Wire.